Shalom. So we're going to talk about what is considered long-term marriage and or short-term marriage. One of the things is that we tend to measure the terms of the relationship by the numbers of years, but that's problematic, right? And if you do that, you will skip a lot of important factors or key components of a marriage, right? So when you say long term, let's look at maybe 5, 10 years in a relationship. You may say that's a long term. Maybe 1 year or maybe 1.5 years, right? And less you may consider short term, right? Now, what happened is that can be very problematic. Have you ever heard someone say, "Oh, we're celebrating 40 years anniversary, 50 years anniversary"? The thing about that is that it doesn't include, okay, the how many times you've been cheated on, right? It doesn't include the how many times you break up and get back together, and all the other negative things that happen in between. Sometimes after a period of time, people just tired of fighting or whatever, they just don't do it anymore, but they just don't get out of that marriage, right? So sometimes people are saying they're celebrating 50 years anniversary and so forth. It really might be just a 1 year marriage, 49 years, 50 years together, but it's only 1 year. They really. So, what happens with this long term and short term? Think about a job. You might be working with a company for 30 years, right? But what if you had resigned your job in the first 5 years? You left, you went to work somewhere else for 6 months or a year, then you come back to this job, right? You work 10 years, you left again, you go someplace else, then you come back. That's the thing. 30 years working with the company. But guess what? It's not the same as working 30 years straight. Because each time you leave and go back, what was promised to you from before, it will not be promised to you just the same. So if you were with a person for 2 years and then you separate for a year and go back and you keep doing that for 30, 40 years, it doesn't count as a 40 years marriage, right? So it has to be exclusive. So if you're with a person for, say, 10 years, let's say 10 years, and that's 10 years exclusive to one another, no adultery, no cheating, no separating and coming back together, and these things, that's when you can say, yes, you're in a long term relationship. Even if you're, say, 2 years, say you're 2 years in a relationship, right? What is the important thing about a marriage, or what are your marriage goals? Because if you spend 2 years with a person and you've accomplished all these things, that's not considered a short term. That's a long term based on your values and your purpose or your relationship goals. But if you're with a person for 10, 20 years and the same way you went into that marriage is the same way you came back out, that's a short term. Even though you spent 20 years, that's still a short term. And this happens so much because of our people believing in this Roman marriages. You take a young woman from her father's house or from wherever she is, you bring her to your home, but guess what? She never accomplished anything. She gave up her entire life to be with you. And then after 20 years, whatever happens, now she has to go back home to her father or whoever family, whatever she has to go back to, or start life all over again. That's problematic. That's short term. The marriage is supposed to bring you closer to your goal. Not just relationship goals, but your ultimate goals in life. So it's not only the woman should be supportive of the man, but also the man should support the woman as well. If something should happen, you should have enough substance. So if you have a son for this man, or even a daughter, guess what? She should be okay. She should be comfortable, even if both parties are separated. And this is where in the law it says that this is why in the law it says that if a man takes a woman, if a man takes a woman that is a maid servant, remember, this is still talking about Hebrews, not foreigners. If a man takes a maid servant and give to his son or whatever, guess what? Even if he should take another wife, this is why the food and the raiment should still remain his responsibility. Because what does it prevent? It prevents creating a whore. A lot of times the women are out there doing things to make ends meet. It's not because they want to go sleep with Big Tom and Harry, but it's sometimes because of what a lot of men do after the separation. They no longer take care of certain responsibilities. So where she could stay home and have a steady mind and do some little things that she can do, guess what? Now stuck in survival mode. She has to be doing this, doing that, not thinking, but just moving off instincts to pay the bills, to make sure that the child eats, right? And then sometimes what it makes it worse is sometimes these very men who put women in these positions are the very same men who condemn them as whores. Yeah, but if she never had to take care of the responsibilities of the child alone, perhaps she would be in a different position where she didn't have to be stuck in survival mode doing whatever her instincts tell her to do, right? So this law is not just for that, but it's how we should live, right? Until the child is 18, or if the child is going to college, it's still our responsibility. But you cannot leave all of that for the woman alone to deal with, especially in these days, right? So even if a woman is making a lot of money, it doesn't take away the stress that comes with it, right? So back to what I was saying is that if you leave your parents' house at an early stage and you did not learn anything, you did not accomplish anything, it is a wicked thing to go back to your parents' house after 20 years to start from scratch. And this is what people don't understand even with the Roman marriages. You're married under a Roman law. You get a ring. A ring is not enough of a token that if you and this man should separate, this ring can give you back your life. The ring does not carry that value to say, if I sell this ring, though we are separated, we are divorced, whatever it is, if I sell this ring, can I build my future? Can I start back from scratch and be okay? No, it doesn't. So marriage is way more than a ring, or the token, or the dowry. Your years is worth more than this ring with the little diamond on top. It's not enough. This is why what belongs to the man, you should get a portion by right. You should be able to stand. It cannot be right for a woman to leave. Let's say she leaves her house at 18 years and go back at when she's 40 years, having nothing. You took away two pairs of hands from her father's house that could have been helping with cleaning or doing something in the home. You took that away from the parents. And after 20 years, you're gonna bring back that. What are those hands going to do? We've seen this in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, right? They had everything, or at least she thought they had everything together. No, the man was just about his purpose. She wasn't part of it. Likewise, in a lot of your Roman marriages today, yes, you signed a paper to say you are the wife and there are witnesses, but guess what? Your name is not on the bank account. Your name is not on the lands. Your name is not on the housing. Your name is not on the insurance. Your name is not on anything. Stop marrying for nothing. Everybody does something for something. Understand and know what you are marrying for. And a lot of you like to lie to yourself to say, oh, I'm not marrying for this or I'm not marrying for that. Then why are you doing it? Are you just driven by some random instincts? You have to know why you're with this man or why you're with this woman. You have to know what motivates your actions. You have to know what your drives are. You have to know what your values are. You have to know what your principles are. You have to know what type of relationship are you going to engage in. You just want to be with somebody for a number of years to say, oh, I've spent half of my life with a person. No, you're old and all of your life is gone, all your energy is gone, and you're out there again, wandering around. No, you don't want to do that. So we have to understand what are the things we value in a marriage. You can be with a person for 2 years, and guess what? You've accomplished so much things together. Not for the man by himself, not for the woman by himself, but together so both of you share in the ownership of whatever you've accomplished. So that 2 years, guess what? It's a long term relationship. And even if you guys should part after 2 years, guess what? You, the woman, have enough substance to start a new life. The man also has enough substance to carry on his life. But you're not left on your face struggling to get back on your feet. This Roman concept of marriage has destroyed so many women, and this is why a lot of them are in the mind state that they are in. Because guess what? Even if they have recovered to some extent, deep under the surface, they know that it took a great part of them to know that they have spent all these years with someone, and here they are starting life all over again with nothing. That's pretty much like a country being ruled by another country, then given independence, starting with an account of $0 and 0 cents. What are you gonna do as a small country? It's the same. So to distinguish between long-term and short-term relationship, do not measure by the number of years. Measure by what you have accomplished together. The substances, how closer you got to your ultimate goals, how closer you move the other person to his or her goals. To know that whatever this person has established, every structure of it has your name written at the foundations. It's not measured by the number of years. You can have great relationships, great marriages. It doesn't mean that you're always destined to be with this person forever. But guess what? It's a part of your journey. sometimes we get so stressed out about because we expected this to be our lifelong partner, but things turn out otherwise. Don't beat yourself up, but just understand. So each time you get into a relationship, you know exactly what to put at the forefront. So when it's manifesting, you know where you are heading. When it's not manifesting, you also know where it's going, and you will know that that's not the direction you want to be traveling in, or you don't want your relationship be going down there. So you need to do what? Give it a sense of direction. You need to take the wheel. And the primary thing is that your relationship must be bringing you into a greater relationship with the Most High. Shalom.